Hey folks, welcome back to another Espresso Deck Shorts. Today we're going to be doing a latte, so we have our milk, steam pitcher, and glass. The latte, generally in North America, is going to be about 12 ounces or 350 milliliters, although you can certainly make it smaller or bigger depending on your preference. And there's lots of variations of the latte. Something like a flat white, which is a slightly different drink, usually about 8 ounces or less. A piccolo latte, which is quite small. A latte macchiato, which is a sort of a Starbucks creation where you have a latte and then you add caramel on top of it or something like that. The macchiato means marked, so it would be marked with caramel on top. That's where the name comes from. But today we're just going to be doing your plain old latte. It's always best practice to keep your milk pitcher in the fridge if you can. It just makes the steaming portion of it easier. And it's best to use whole milk. Today we're using 2%, but whole milk will give you the best steaming ability because of the fat content. So, for a 350 milliliter latte, I'm going to pour probably about 6 to 8 ounces of milk. And that's because 2 ounces of the whole beverage is going to be our espresso, so that leaves us with 10 ounces. And then the milk is actually going to expand as we steam it because we're adding air. So, you don't really want a full 12 ounces of milk when you're making a latte because you'll just have some left over that will go down the sink. So we're going to pour in about 6 to 8 ounces. Let's see where we end up here. Yeah, just above 6 ounces for me. And when we're steaming, what I like to do is I like to take the milk pitcher and I like to divide it into 4. So 1 across the top, the center there, and 1 across the side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 4 quadrants, if you will. And I generally like to steam somewhere around here. I find it gives me the best view. It's slightly angled. It gives a good mixing power when you're actually just mixing the froth and the steamed milk to get that even texture throughout the beverage. And for a latte, I'm generally going to steam and add air for about 3 to 5 seconds. It's kind of really all you need. You can do more or less depending on your preference, but 3 to 5 seconds is a nice spot to start. So when I start steaming, you'll hear that screaming right away. That's the milk with no air. And then you'll hear the sort of paper tearing or bubbling sound. That's me adding air to the milk. That's adding that silky microfoam. And then you'll hear sort of a much quieter, no bubbling sound. And that's when I bring it up and I'm just heating the milk. When we're steaming, I generally, if this is my steam tip right here, so I'm generally going to start here, right here, and then maybe I'll go up there and then come back down. But I'm never going halfway or all the way into the steam one. It's just not necessary. So I'm going to start about here. I'm going to lower it down a little bit so that the tip is just on the surface of the milk and I can get that foam whipped in. And then I'm going to raise it up again a little bit to heat the milk to the desired temperature. When you're heating the milk, you're looking for somewhere between about 55 and 65 degrees Celsius. Certainly no hotter than 67 degrees Celsius because at that point you're going to start scalding the milk. The sugars are going to burn and the taste is just not very pleasant. So here we go. Before you steam, you always want to purge your steam wine, and that just means letting a bit of steam out because it does, some condensation will build up in there. So I'm going to purge it first. And for the latte, I like to do my espresso generally at the same time. So that's what I'll be doing today. If you need some tips on how to make espresso, we do have a guide on that already. Nice little 10-step guide for making espresso at home, all the things you want to keep mind of. So I'll lock this in and then I'll start steaming. And here we go. So I'm in that third quadrant, turn it on, you'll hear the screaming. That's no air. And that's me adding air. You can hear that sound. And now I'm just going to keep it there. I want the milk to be spinning. You see how it's almost jumping up here? That's what we're looking for. At the end of the day, we want a bit of a wet paint texture. And I'm feeling the side for the temperature I want. You can always use a thermometer, but most people I find know what temperature they want their milk. Okay, give it a tap and a swirl. Don't forget to always clean your steam wand. So grab a cloth, give that a wipe down, and give it a little purge. Great. I'm going to grab our cup. I like to hold it handle towards my wrist. Pour in our shot. Another tap and swirl on the milk, and you can see that texture. It's like a gloss, silky gloss. It's almost like wet paint. That's the texture we're going for. There's no big bubbles, and if there is, give it a couple taps and a swirl, and you should get rid of most of them. We're going to start pouring. If you're doing latte art, you're going to want to start pouring from above instead of a pencil thickness, just like so. And then you're going to get down close when it's about half full and start the art. And a wiggle, get some texture on that heart, and pull through. And there you are. Don't have too much milk left. We were pretty on the money with the amount of milk we should have, so that's great. And now you have a latte. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.